What we want to be able to do is see a scenario in which something is going to change either demand and supply. And then we want to be able to take that information and we want to be able to figure out what's going to happen to that demand or the supply and what is going to happen to price and quantity. So the end result we want to figure out is what's going to happen to price and quantity. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some examples here talking about coffee. We're going to say coffee is a normal good. So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out what is going to change if the price of creamer, a complement in consumption, increases. So whenever you see the word consumption, we automatically know that it's going to be demand. And the key to these is going to be knowing those factors of production, okay? Or not factors of production, factors of demand and supply. So you're going to have to know those lists, okay? So the price of creamer, a complement in consumption, increases. So we've already established it's going to be demand. So the next thing we want to figure out is it going to increase or decrease demand? So if the price of creamer goes up and I want to have creamer with my coffee, if the price of that creamer goes up, I don't buy as much creamer. And if I'm not buying the creamer, I don't want the coffee. So then we can say demand is going to decrease. Okay, so demand decreasing means the demand curve is going to shift to the left. Okay, so when demand shifts to the left, we can see that price is going to go down and quantity is going to go down. Okay, demand is the nice one that whenever it shifts, everything shifts in the same direction. Okay, so let's try another one. Again, all of these we're going to talk about coffee. So the price of coffee beans, which are an input to produce coffee, go up. So that's one of our factors of production. So if the price of one of our inputs goes up, what's going to happen to the supply? Supply is going to decrease. Okay, so if supply decreases, that means it's going to shift to the left. We can see then when we shift to the left, price goes up, quantity goes down. Price increases, quantity decreases. Okay, so the next one is population increases. Now, population is going to be on the demand list. Okay, so demand increases if population increases. So if demand increases, okay, it shifts to the right. So price is going to increase and quantity is going to increase. Okay, so the next one. There's an outbreak of coffee leaf rust, which is a damaging disease that destroys coffee plants. That's a real thing, in case you did not know. Okay, so that's going to be on which one do you think? Is probably something that's dealing with our production of coffee. So that's going to be the supply and probably under state of nature. So our supply is going to decrease. And if supply decreases, it shifts to the left. And if it shifts to the left, if supply shifts to the left, price is going to increase and quantity is going to decrease. Okay, so the next one, the price of coffee bean flour, a complement in production. Anytime you see the word production, you know it has to be supply. So they can take the coffee bean, which isn't used that much in the production of coffee, and they can grind that into a gluten-free flour. So if the price of that increases, okay, that means we're going to want to produce more of this coffee bean flour. And if we produce more of the coffee bean flour, then we get more coffee as well. So supply of coffee is going to increase. When the supply increases, price is going to decrease and quantity is going to increase. Okay, so another one, consumers expect the price of coffee to increase. Now, expected future prices is on both the list for demand and supply, but this one specifically says that consumers expect it. So you see the word consumers or consumption, it has to be demand. So if we expect coffee to go up in the future, that means, okay, I don't want to wait till it goes up in price. I want to buy it now. So demand is going to increase now. And if demand increases, and again, demand's a nice one, everything moves in the same direction, price and quantity will both increase. Okay, so the next one, there's an improved technology in coffee production. Technology is on the supply list. So if there's better technology, we can produce more at the same price. So supply is going to increase. And if supply increases, price is going to decrease, quantity is going to increase. Okay, so the price of tea, a substitute in consumption, decreases. We've already said anytime it says the word consumption, that's going to be demand. Okay, so if the price of tea, a substitute in consumption, decreases, that means I'm going to want to buy more tea because it's now cheaper. And if I buy the tea because it's a substitute to coffee, then my demand's going to decrease. Okay, so if demand decreases, price decreases, quantity decreases. Okay, so if the producers of coffee expect the price of coffee to increase. Now, again, whenever we see the word producers or production, we know it has to be supply. And if we expect it to increase, we don't want to sell it now, we want to wait. So supply is going to decrease. So if supply decreases, price increases and quantity decreases. Okay, if income decreases. Okay, so we have to know something about the good before we can make a determination. And we said at the beginning that coffee is a normal good. And if you remember, with a normal good, as income increases, we buy more of it. As income decreases, we buy less of it. So if income decreases, demand's going to decrease, which then should make price and quantity both decrease. Okay, so there's a decrease in the price of espresso, which we're going to say is a substitute in production to coffee. We could make the argument that it's a substitute in consumption too, but let's just pretend it's just a substitute in production. So if there's a decrease in the price of espresso, that means I don't want to produce as much espresso because I'm not going to get as much money from it. So then we're going to want to supply the coffee instead because it is a substitute. So the supply increases. That's going to shift my supply curve to the right, which lowers price and increases quantity. Okay, there's more coffee producers. Okay, so on the list of supply factors, one is going to be the number of suppliers. So if there's more coffee producers, then supply is going to increase. Supply increases, price decreases, quantity increases. Consumers expect income to increase. So if we expect more income, then we will want to buy more stuff. So demand's going to increase. If demand increases, it shifts to the right, price increases, and quantity increases. This one's my favorite. Coffee is found to extend your life. If that's the case, we're probably going to prefer to drink coffee. If we think it's going to make us better, then we're going to want to drink coffee. So demand is going to increase. If demand increases, shifts to the right, which increases price and quantity. So the key on these is to know which factors we're dealing with, and we can figure it out from there.